Hello and welcome to the second episode of the podcast Leadership in Construction. I'm your host Michael, and today I've got an absolute brilliant guest with us. I've met this gentleman through LinkedIn, and he's been an inspiration to me since sort of knowing him. He's an entrepreneur running businesses in engineering, property, and even a fitness coach. So I'd like to welcome our guest, Graham McCiag. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you very much, Michael, for asking me to be on here. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. Now, I appreciate you coming on to be the second guest. And I want to start off really by asking, first of all, how did you get into construction? What was it that led you into this industry?
So I got into construction when I was at school. I've got two older brothers, and two of them both work in construction. One in particular was one that I followed, who was a civil engineer. I just kind of saw him when I was at school. At 16, he was 26, so he was 10 years older than me. I saw him make quite good money, and it looked as if it was quite a good industry. So that is the kind of reasons why that I got into it, because I was just following my brother, to be honest. It wasn't that I had a passion for it. I just saw that it looked as if it paid well and it looked good. So that was basically it. I then went from school on to college. I didn't have the grades to get into university. I had to go to college first, then went to university, and then went out, worked for a company for about 18 months. And during the time when I was at college and university, I also worked part-time with my brother anytime I could. And that's what kind of gave me an experience that when I came out of university, that I got a job quite quickly with a company.
And the university, that was full-time, was it?
Yeah, so that was full-time. So I did 2 years at college, and then because I did well at college, I got into my third year at university. So I just completed a bachelor's. I never did the honours because I didn't really fancy doing it, and I got offered a job because there was a company that came in who were doing interviews in the university, and they needed a setting out engineer, a trainee setting out engineer, and because I'd had a bit of experience with my brother, I got the job with them. So I was quite happy to leave, and that was actually round about when the recession happened. It must have been around about 2008, 2007. I got the job, and then about a year and a half later, that's when the recession happened. So it was good timing in that front.
And so what have you sort of been doing on the engineering construction front since sort of university and having that first job?
Yep, so I worked for a company called Ogilvy Construction. So at the time, they had about 5 or 6 schools that they were building, each ranging from about 15 to 25 million pounds in a project. So it's quite big. So on those kind of jobs, I just kind of worked with the engineer, where I would set all the bolts in terms for all the steel work. I would do all the foundations. I would do all the external works, like all your landscaping. And then from there, I was there for about 18 months. And then I left from there, went to Australia. Went to Australia travelling for a year when I was 21, 22, came back. I couldn't get a job because when I came back, it was basically when the recession had happened. So I phoned up my old company, but they didn't have any availability. They were actually letting people go. So my brother, he was a freelance setting out engineer, and he says, just start up a company so that you can then try and get on a job as a contractor. So I got on a job for 2 weeks. It was actually someone who I worked with from the previous job before I went to Australia. He said, there's a job here for 2 weeks if you want it. I went there. The 2 weeks turned into 2 years, and I was doing that there. That was house building. So that was where we were building houses. I was doing all the setting out for that. I was starting to do a wee bit of management there, where I was having to manage the men on site. And then during that time, my brother just started getting into airfields. So he was working on Glasgow Airport. So he was working on the taxiway. So when the planes come into land, they go to the taxiway. And he was doing all the tarmac in there and all the installation of the new AGL lights. So he asked me, did I want to come across and work for him? And it was quite a bit more money than what I was getting paid. So I then jumped onto airfields from about the age of 23, 24. And then I've kind of stayed in airfields for the last kind of 10 years. And that's where I've been going about the country. I've been on Birmingham Airport, been in Glasgow 2 or 3 times, Edinburgh, Heathrow, Gatwick, and just finished Lossiemouth there as well. So that's kind of I have been in a kind of niche market for the last kind of 8 to 9 years in airfields.
And starting up as a freelancer, what was that experience like? Is that a complicated thing to do?
No, so it's a lot easier than you think. So if you are an engineer, let's say for example, you work for a company just now and you were thinking that you maybe wanted to go and work for yourself because you see people make more money. It's as easy as you setting up a limited company. So you just go into a website called Company's House, you get that set up. You can have that set up within a day. Well, you can get your company set up within an hour. You then have to, I had to go to the bank to basically get a bank account for it. So you obviously name your company, and then that's you basically got a company ready to rumble. And then at that point there, if you obviously work for, if I was to be a subcontractor to a company, you just want to make sure you've got your public liability insurance and things like that in there. But again, it's very easy to get set up. And if you already have contacts within the industry and you're half decent at your job, then I don't think you'll have any problem with getting yourself work as a freelance person.
And yeah, as you say, around 2008, 2007, you're talking about those first few jobs being sort of word of mouth, people that you know. How has LinkedIn changed that at the moment? Because obviously you use LinkedIn a lot. That's how we both met whilst working at Gatwick Airport. How do you think LinkedIn's changed that now?
So I think I was never a social media person when I was younger, because when I was younger, and I never used my social media platform for work, just because when I was younger, it wasn't really in my head to do that. But I definitely feel now that whatever job you do, then it's very, very good to let people know what it is you do, because you never know when you might need someone, and you never know when that person's watching. Because if I didn't do LinkedIn or I didn't post on LinkedIn, then I wouldn't be having this conversation with you. So I think LinkedIn is a very good place to get your business, but I think it's a good place for people to kind of know, like, and trust you, to find out a wee bit more about you, to what your skills are and stuff like that as well. And I just think it's a great place to advertise any business and advertise yourself.
No, I absolutely 100% agree. Yeah. And obviously what you do a lot as well on LinkedIn is post a lot about your fitness and your fitness coach side of things. How do you make that transition then? Because it's not a transition, because you're doing both sides still, aren't you? How are you dovetailing the construction side of life with the fitness coach side of life? How does that work?
So for example, I was working up in Lossiemouth there since March, so that was basically since lockdown, and I was working every second weekend, usually between 10 to 12 hours per day. So it was a lot of work, but I'm an early riser, so I used to get up each morning so during lockdown I would get up early. I would get up about 4:30, 4:45, and when the gyms were shut, I would do my workout basically in the house before I went to work. And then I would then coach people on what to eat for breakfast, what to eat for lunch, and basically just give them a little bit of accountability, because it's something that I struggled with for many years when I was younger. I was quite overweight when I was younger, and for years I tried all sorts of diets, and obviously you know yourself, when you go online, it's a minefield when it comes to diets, and so many people, including myself, I used to restrict myself at the weekends, and I used to feel guilty about eating food and things like that. And then I hired a coach when I was 28, so that's coming up for 5 years. And then this coach, he basically taught me a good bit about nutrition. So I worked with him for 6 months, where I met him one day a week, but he also gave me a diet plan as well. And he just completely changed the game for me, because he just kind of let me learn a bit more about food. He kind of taught me what foods to eat in a simplistic way, so that I didn't feel as if I was always calorie counting. And from that, I've actually had a coach. Like, I've paid for the last 4 years, I've paid a coach each month. And it's not because I feel as if that I need the coach to tell me what to do. It's just that it's good having somebody who's an accountability partner, because I mainly help people now. Most of the people that I help, I just help over a 30 to 60 day period. I don't coach bodybuilders. I just coach people that need a little bit of guidance. I just like to show people what's good for breakfast, what's good for lunch, and just kind of showing them, like, why they want to be getting their activity levels up, and that doesn't mean that you have to go and pound the gym. It just means that, just like doing what you were saying about trying to get out a walk a day and try and getting your steps up, and that's a big thing. So we don't have to be bodybuilders to be able to do this. You just want to be someone where you might just need that little bit of help, because it's something that I struggle with a lot, and it all comes down to your diet is a big thing, but also as well, just make sure that you've got a bit of movement in there, whether that's going to the gym, it's getting a walk with the dog, or getting out a run, or playing some squash or something like that, whatever you can.
And you mentioned there accountability partner. I think that's really good. I want to sort of compare this in terms of leadership skills and the construction industry, because you talk about accountability partner and a whole lot of keeping fit and doing exercise, eating the right things. It's just motivation in part. Is that right, do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's very, very easy not to not know what to do. So that's why that I paid a coach, because I needed to be guided, and I liked the idea of the thought process of what to eat was taken away from me. So they just said, look, because I had a goal that I wanted to get in better shape, and at the time I wasn't really interested about what it was I had to do, and all I wanted was someone to say, do X, Y, Z. So I kind of felt as if that I wanted to be an employee where I had a boss and he says, I want you to do X, Y, Z, so that I didn't have to think about it, I just did it. And I think that a lot of the times that's good, because if you have someone who can guide you whereabouts you want to go, then I think that's a good form of leadership that way. So I got a coach because I needed to be led, and then because of that, I learned things about that. You don't have to be super strict. I don't have to expect every single person to know exactly what to do. I don't have to I don't expect everyone to have an absolutely perfect diet. I just want people to have a slightly better diet than they had before and just kind of build on it. And in order for me to do that, I have to kind of have a coach as well, because I believe that if you preach about having a coach, then you have to have a coach yourself, I think.
No, that sounds really important. And in terms of the sort of motivational side of things, is that applicable to the construction industry as well, in keeping people motivated? I mean, when I spoke to Brandy last week on episode 1, we talked a lot about the sort of type of hours you work in construction, particularly in the aviation sector. It's a lot of late nights. How about morale? I mean, is that a big thing?
Yeah, so obviously Brandy's a bit different for me, because Brandy is a project manager. So my kind of roles have mainly been a subcontractor as an engineer. I have had a couple of roles where I've been acting as a sub-agent. So my leadership skills will be different from hers. But in terms of my side of things, it's like if you're working long hours, then you obviously want to do your best to enjoy your work. So I always feel that a big thing about construction, and actually at one point about 2 years ago that I wanted out of it, I just felt as if it was an industry that was a very negative industry, and I felt as if that I needed a little bit of a break from it. But then I realised that even though that we can be around quite a lot of people who might not share the same vision as us, but you can actually have a change in other people if you have a more positive mindset. And I know that myself, because you can tell when people are moaning and groaning, because I used to be the person where you used to go into a job and you say, oh, I can't do that, I can't do this. But then now, if you look at it from a point of view where you look at it and say, right, can I make this work? And that definitely has an effect on the people around about you as well. So you can have an effect on the people about you if you have a good attitude yourself. And I suppose that's a kind of form of leadership.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Positivism and positivity. That's what I'm going for. I think it's extremely important. So are there any tips that you would recommend for someone like myself in terms of how to motivate someone, how to express optimism, even if you're faced with a really challenging situation? I
think if you're in the construction industry, and you're working with people, then I think it's good to understand what people want. So if you're someone where, let's say for example, you're a trainee engineer and someone might not want to do the job, but then you need to kind of ask them what it is they want to be or what it is they want to get out of this. So a lot of the times when I was younger, when I used to work with my older brother, it was quite difficult sometimes when you work with your older brother, because obviously he tells you what to do and it was hard work. But then if you had someone there in the background who probably would have made my life a little bit easier, but if they'd said to you, in order for you to move forward, you might have to do a bit of crappy work first of all. You might need to take a bit of stuff like you're serving your apprentice. So I think that when you're working with people, and if you want to get people motivated, then you maybe want to explain to them what the end goal is and what you're trying to achieve as a team. So I think that could be a good thing.
Set the vision.
That's it. Exactly. Exactly. Setting the vision. And I think that a lot of the times, obviously when you're an employee, sometimes you can just be kind of stuck. You can just be kind of stuck on your day-to-day task, and that's kind of something that I've learned a lot more in the last 3 to 4 years, where I try and read things that kind of cast your vision a bit bigger. So a lot of the times now is that I'm an engineer, but over the last 3 to 4 years, I've been thinking a lot bigger, because I don't want to have to be in a job where I have to turn up to get paid. So that's kind of why that I've been doing other ventures when it comes to the fitness side of things, just because I believe that I can help people in that, and that's something where obviously you can get paid from that online as well. But also as well, I like the idea of staying within construction, because I believe that it is actually a good industry. There's a lot of scope where, even though you're an engineer just now, or whatever your role in just well, or whatever role you're doing as well too, is that can just be the kind of start of what you can potentially do. So I think that's important to have good vision, like you said.
And I guess that's also important in terms of fitness as well. You've got to maintain that goal in your head of where you want to get to.
Yes.
So sort of what are your sort of goals in terms of your aspirations? Where are you going to take your engineering business, and where are you going to plan to take fitness business? Are you going to go further?
Yeah, so I think coming from the construction side of things, I definitely, so I've already got a company that it was mainly just for my setting out, and I acted as a subcontractor to a few companies within the UK, so that was good. The thing is, when you work with these kind of companies, is that because even though that I worked there for a long period of time and it was great, is that in order to grow that, I think you have to move on, and I think you might need to go and do something on your own. So my goals is that I've started another company with my friend who has a labour hire company. So he is the same age as me. He's young, he's ambitious, and he basically supplies labour to sites across Scotland. So if you're on a construction site and you need 10 joiners there, that's the sort of stuff that he does. Whereas my background is that I've been the person and I've been building the jobs, and we've been offered to build 10 houses in Glasgow, and we're basically just kind of getting that finalised. We've got a meeting tomorrow. So the plan is with that is that we want to grow that business in terms of we're going to build houses, but we're just going to be doing the groundworks. And then ideally the plan with that is that when you are doing jobs like that, you're just in a room with people who are different players. They're people who are actually buying land and things like that. So the goals would be for me would be to build the business in terms of doing the groundworks for these developers with the intention to looking at buying my own land with my business partner, and then obviously build our own houses. So I would like to do that, and also as well, the two of us are still going to be on the tools in terms of we want to build it so that it's actually us that are building it. So I'm going to do the setting out at the start, and he's actually a monoblocker by trade. So we're going to be we're going to be working in the business and on the business as well. So that's my kind of goals for the construction side of things. I definitely think I'll go back into the aviation at some point, but I don't know when. I don't know when that'll be, but that's an industry where it's interesting work. It's a very niche market, that, But it's good work. It's good work. I liked it.
No, fantastic. In terms of the fitness coaching, are you develop that any further?
Yeah, so the fitness at the moment, what I'm doing is that I'm actually just completing my personal training certificate. I don't think I will be a face-to-face personal trainer. I don't think I will be, but I'll never say never. What I think I would like is that most of the people that I help, like, I just love training myself. I love it because when I got in better shape, where I lost weight and I felt more confident when I looked at myself in the mirror, that made me have bigger goals in life. So this is why that I want to help more people on the online side of things, where I want to help them with their diet. I want to help them improve by getting along with the gym and just feeling better about themselves. So I can see myself creating a community, potentially within construction or just business owners, where I feel as if that it's a place where that we can work long hours, but we can also still look after our health as well, and we can still show up for our family, we can still feel and look good, but we can also build a business and a company at the same time as well. So I think from a fitness point of view, I'll do more kind of online coaching, but it might be more like potentially a life coaching. I'm not too sure, but because I'm not saying life coaching because I've not got my life sussed. I definitely don't have it all sussed out, but I think it's good to work with someone who is actually out there doing a bit of business as well, and obviously just sharing my struggles, because every single day I have struggles, but I just do my best to try and fix them and just try and deal with them. And I know that being fit and healthy is a huge part of that, and it helps with your mindset as well, big time.
Absolutely. And I think it is very important for the construction industry as well, because so many of us within the construction industry, we just work so many odd hours and far away from home. I've, as we were discussing before, set myself a challenge of trying to run a mile a day from the 1st of December to the 24th, trying to raise some money for a charity that's very close. Well, I say charity, a hospital that's very close to me. That's looked after me and my family in the last year. And I used to be big into running, but I haven't for years. So this is really going to be couch potato to running in a matter of weeks. And I, probably like a lot of people throughout lockdown, started off just overeating in the evenings and cakes and drinking way more alcohol than they would normally. So I've proper piled on the pounds this year. What's your advice for people like me who have sort of got into those bad habits during lockdown, but then trying to make it positive? I've sort of treated it as like Christmas never really ended, and I'm getting out to Christmas 2020. I'm like, I didn't done anything this year in terms of looking after myself. What would be your sort of advice for myself and people like me?
I think because obviously lockdown happened, then a lot of people were in the house. It's dead easy to lose routine, and I've kind of noticed it already, where I was working up in Lossiemouth and I work 10 hours a day at least. It's very, very easy to have a routine. When you get up in the morning, you have to be in work. So what I say to people is that a routine is the best way for you to have order in your life. So if you're still working from home and you feel as if you're struggling, then you want to try and start to get yourself into a routine where you're getting up in the morning. Even though you might say, well, I don't have anything to get up for, you're better off getting up early and getting yourself, get some clothes on and go out a walk. Because just getting that, it's when you're out and about, and you don't have to be in the gym, you don't have to be running, you just have to get out and go a walk for 20 minutes. And just doing that is a great way to get your head in the game for the day ahead. Also as well, you could go out and get a podcast where it's something that might be helping you learn a new skill. So let's say, for example, that for ages you've been wanting to take up French, so that's a perfect time to go out and do that. So if you learn something the first thing in the morning, it's just going to set yourself off for a good day. So that's the first tip I would say, is that getting up, even though you might not have anything to get up for, if you get up and you set the day off strong with that, that's a great way to start the day. So that's a great tip to start with.
So get a routine,
getting a routine, and when it comes to the diet side of things, if you feel as if that you've been having a wee bit more drink than normal, you might not be doing that if you were in a job where you had to be there at 8 o'clock every morning. So just treat a Monday to Friday or a Monday to Thursday as your days where you work and you want to be focused, because we don't really need to have a drink of wine every single night, do we? We don't need to do it. It's just being greedy, but it's easy. And I know, like, I speak from experience where, like, I can relate to a lot of people, because I know the feeling of eating myself into a pulp. I know where I can eat myself into depression. I can drink because it's convenient. I can eat takeaways because it's convenient. I know that because I've done all that myself. But you just need to, you kind of have to have the kind of end goal, like yourself, where you're saying, right, I've put on a bit of weight. In order for me to get this off, if I just cut out the wine a Monday to Friday or a Monday to Thursday, and I go out a walk every morning for half an hour, and instead of having a crisp and chocolate with my tea, I'm just going to have a 3 solid meals a day, where I'm going to try and eat some veg in each meal. I'm going to try and drink a couple of litres of water each day. If you do stuff like that, that'll completely change the way, like, it'll completely change everything. Also as well, don't feel as if that every single meal has to be perfect. Just look at what you're doing just now and just kind of look and say, what can I do to make tomorrow better? Like, you don't have to be perfect, because if you just have small changes, then they start to build, and then before you know it, you've got a very good routine in place. So I would say that it's a good thing is to have a good routine. And if anyone watches this and you feel as if you're struggling with that, if you want to send me a message, then I can send you a message, no problem at all. You can tell me what you're currently doing, and I'll be able to just give you some tips, some minor tips what you could do to change, and I'll try and not make it too drastic so that you're like, I can't do that. Because a big thing that I try and do with people is I ask people about what their current routine is, and I try and do my best to try and keep it quite similar so that they don't feel as if they're changing things in a big way that they're going to struggle with.
That sounds really amazing. So just to finalise on sort of some leadership bits then, what would you say, what are the sort of 3 words you'd use to best try and describe leadership?
3 words, good. You put me in the spot here. So 3 words. I can see these will probably be 3 sentences that will say it. I think we'll struggle with 3 words. So leadership, I think you have to have courage. I would say courage is a good one. You need to have courage. I think you have to be a little bit selfish sometimes in order to be a leader, because you might need to, I think that in order for you to sail the boat in terms of to take the team to the end goal, then you might have to be a little bit selfish in the way you do things. And the third one, I would say that I think you have to have a bit of passion in what you do in order to be a leader. I find that, and I think a lot of times people think that in order to be a leader, you have to lead 10 people or 20 people. But if you go on a diet and you lose half a stone, and then you inspire your wife to do that, then that there is leadership, because you've basically led her to a healthier lifestyle. So don't think that just because you're only helping one person with your action, then that's not leadership. It is.
Sort of lead by example.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
Exactly.
Right, well, I think we'll leave it there then. Graham, thank you very much for being a guest on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael, and I'll no doubt speak to you again soon, buddy.
Speak to you soon. Thank you, mate. Take care.
Yeah, bye-bye.